ቅዱስ 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 እግዚአብሔር ጸባኦት አምላክነ.
Thank you everyone for being with us today. This program is brought to you by Mahibere Kidusan broadcast service from American Center English service. We hope everyone is doing well today, and we hope you'll enjoy and learn from this program. During the virtual conference organized by the campus ministry, Dr. Kesis Amsalu Tefera was their guest speaker. They discussed a topic called "The Blood of the Martyrs is the Seed of the Church." Kesis Dr. Amsalu Tefera earned his bachelor's degree in theology. He earned his master's degree in philology and a PhD in Ethiopian philology. He also served as an assistant professor in Addis Ababa University. The goal is to educate English-speaking youth and to raise awareness about the current situation in Ethiopia. Let us watch his presentation.
Dear brothers, sisters, fellow Christians, greetings once again to you by the gracious name of God. It's really an honor to be here, to have me here, to be with you and to share my own reflections on the current situation of our motherland country and against our church, of course. And I would like to thank Mahibere Kidusan US Center campus ministry and the organizers. Thank you very much for this. And it's really, indeed, it's necessary to organize such a workshop. It's not only, I just propose, it's not only, not to be limited only just one day or two, but it must be, continually, we must just organize such a very, very useful, important workshop. The root causes of the current situation in Ethiopia, church perspective. So this is, the title, as you can see, it is very huge, but I would like to make it very brief. And I just used this, very touching, and it explains the situation, what's going on in Ethiopia. I found it, just recently, yesterday or the day before yesterday, and I just took it from Sa'ali Zarihun's page. So it is just. So I'd like to focus in 3 points. So these are the 3 points which I would like to mention. In the first part of my presentation, I would like to give a very brief introduction about the contribution of the Ethiopian Orthodox Church. So overviewing the contribution of our church to the country. So that's very important. In the second part of my presentation, I would like to take why and how the premeditated violence targeted the Orthodox Christians in Ethiopia. It is a really very, very, very serious question, and everybody should ask this to get the answer. So this, I would like to show some points. And finally, I would like to highlight some of the solutions. Coming to the first the Ethiopian Orthodox Church, in its 2000 plus years of history, has a unique space in the global Christendom. Ethiopia is the second country in the world, next to Armenia, to declare the Christian faith a state religion in about 330. The Ethiopian Orthodox Church has more than 60 million followers in the country and from 5 to 7 million in the diaspora, which makes the largest number of followers among the Oriental churches. The church played a prominent role in crafting the history of Ethiopia. Ethiopia has its own alphabet, as you all know, which made Ethiopia the first and the only African country to have its own writing system. As it's seen today, the Ethiopian fiddle is under a serious attack. But thanks to the Ethiopian Orthodox Church, the alphabet is kept and still functioning. Ge'ez was the national language of Ethiopia during Aksumite period and continued as a language of history and scholarship until 1860s. Currently, the language is limited to be a liturgical language. The Ethiopian Church is the center of learning and academic excellence until the modern school system rooted to be the land. Most of the churches and monasteries are touristic destinations of the country. The rock-hewn churches of Lalibela are of a unique importance to the country and registered by UNESCO as one of the wonders of the world. Thus, the Ethiopian Orthodox Church is a pillar for the golden history of the country. As far as its services are concerned, the Ethiopian Orthodox Church dedicated special services and prayers for the country, beseeching God to bless Ethiopia and its people. To mention a few examples, supplication prayer for the peace of the country, Mastaku Benta Salam, for the sick people, Benta Duyan, for the diseased, Benta Mutan, for the fruits of the land, Mastaku Benta Fremedr, for the rain, Mastaku Benta Zanamat, etc. In addition to praying to God, the Ethiopian Church Fathers went to the battlefield to defeat the invaders. Such a fact is registered in the Royal Chronicles of Ethiopia. The victory of Adwa, which is a very, very shining and alarming victory, I think it has a unique significance for all of the Black history, I think. So the victory of Adwa was possible because of the overall participation of every Ethiopian, starting from Emperor Menelik II and Etege Taitu, Empress Taitu, to the ordinary people and to the priests. It is uniquely remembered that the tablet of St. George was carried to Adwa, and God helped the Ethiopians over Italians. So as you can see from the screen, you know, the icon of St. George is just depicted to designate the victory of Adwa. So this shows that, you know, Emperor Menelik was very devoted Christian himself. So he was assisted by the Egyptian bishop, of course, and the priests, you know, the deacon, the clergymen were next to him. So he just brought the tablet or the ark of St. George toward the battlefield of Adwa. Finally, God helped him through the intercession of, you know, the St. George. So that's really great. The victory of Adwa is really great. So Emperor Menelik II and Empress Taitu, you know, it's really, they must be remembered in a very unique way. So during the 5 years of invasion of Italy to Ethiopia, the church fathers were prominent patriots of the country. Abuna Petros and Abuna Mikhail of Gore were martyred by the fascist Italian in 1936. For all noble achievements which the country Ethiopia is known for, definitely the architect role is given to the Ethiopian Church. The Ethiopian Orthodox Church is the emblem of freedom, preaches love and unity for all. The Church is a pillar for Ethiopian identities. But it is a hard truth to know the Ethiopian Church become a target for all anti-Ethiopians. Religious fundamentalists and political activists crafted different agenda, but they agreed to attack the Orthodox Christianity in Ethiopia. The church preaches peace and freedom, but the enemy is not happy to see Ethiopian identities. So this is the really sad story. So having contributed all these great things for the country, yet the Ethiopian church is under a serious attack by different, anti-Ethiopians. So I would like to come to the real problem of the situation. Why and how the premeditated violence targeted the Orthodox Christians in Ethiopia. Ethiopia attracted many for different reasons. But I mention as why all these problems just happen. I would like to mention the root causes of the problem. So here you can see from the screen that the root causes for the problems are, according to my understanding, we can, I think, explain a very detailed one, but I think we can generalize them into four. The four great or major causes of the problem. The first one is colonialists are just a problem. The second one, radical and militant Islamists are there. The third one, political activists are there. And the fourth and last one, the current policy of Ethiopia is the root cause of the problem itself. I will discuss one by one. First, colonialists. Colonialists since the last century, but they were defeated at the Battle of Adwa in 1896, but many historians describe the victory of Adwa as the victory of all Black people who were under severe oppression and colony. Hence, the entire world praised Emperor Menelik II, who was the champion of the Battle of Adwa. If you find a few people who are not happy about the victory of Adwa and hate Emperor Menelik, definitely they are anti-Ethiopia, but they are promoters of colonizers. So that is the case. So the first reason why the root cause of this problem are, the colonialists, they have still hidden agenda. Even in the post-colonial time, they have different, hands to express their hidden agenda. So the first reason, the first root cause is their mentality is still there. The second point, radical and militant Islamists since early times are the root causes, but aggressively working even until for the last 20 years. Even though it was not the first case, the massacre of priests and Orthodox Christians when they were at church service in Beshasha, Jimma in October 2006, slaughtered by radical Oromo Muslims. These militant Islamists are still sponsoring religious violence and backing the political turmoil of the country. So the second reason, great reason, the root cause are the radical militant Islamists. I am not saying Islam is not a threat, Islam is not a problem, no, but radical militant Islamists are the root causes of the problem. The third, political activists found in the diaspora and even in the country, in the political parties. So political activists designed a toxic program to dismantle the country by using different tactics and distort Ethiopian history. Fundamental Oromo intellectuals propagated the narration saying Oromo people were ill-treated by former Ethiopian governors and were oppressed. Thus, they equated the Oromos as Black Americans. Oromo radicals preaching hate, and they are working to clean Oromo region free from the Orthodox Christians. It is worth to mention a recent case. Oromo Muslims in Bali were surprised when they realized Hachalu Hundessa, who was current agenda, I think I will mention about him later. No, Oromo Muslims in Bali were surprised when they realized Hachalu Hundessa was buried in the Orthodox Church, and they say, we thought Hachalu Hundessa was Oromo. For them, Oromo means a Muslim, but cannot be a Christian. This is their foolish understanding of what Oromo means. And this is the hate preaching they just used. This tells much how radical political activists badly shaped their flocks and washed their brain. In reality, however, Central and West Oromo of Ethiopia are basically Christians. Among us, the Tulama Oromo of Shawa are Orthodox Christians. This is the reality. Okay, I will mention the fourth root cause. The fourth root cause, as I mentioned here, the fourth root cause is the current policy of Ethiopia itself is a problem. The ethno-linguistic oriented policy of the Ethiopian government, which follows pseudo-federalism, facilitates the violence, which cannot give guarantee for its citizens while they suffer murder because of their identities. As we see the fact in the ground, all the mentioned four entities, you see the above just four entities which I mentioned right here, the four entities strategically working together, and their common goal is to dismantle Ethiopia and to attack the Ethiopian Orthodox Tewahedo Church. They use all platforms and medias that they targeted to mainstream distorted Ethiopian history in the school curriculum. They organized and trained people to achieve their goal. They snatched the global agenda and crafting their own. For example, Black Lives Matter from following the killing of George Floyd here in the from the United States. So they snatched this agenda, the Black Lives Matter, to Oromo Lives Matter. Yet the killed Christians are the so-called Neftenyas, meaning the non-Oromos, so they shift the blame. As evidence to the last 3 decades, Ethiopian Orthodox Christians are targeted to be killed, and all their properties are subjected to be destroyed, and their land possessions are confiscated for no reason. Such a scenario is common everywhere in the country, but it is the worst in the region of Oromia. The current year 2012 Ethiopian calendar, or 2019-2020, the current year and last year, things went to the climax and Orthodox Christians are being slaughtered and suffered. The murder of Hachalu Hundessa, who was an Orthodox Christian himself, his baptismal name was Wolde Gabriel, as you all know, his Christina Semu, Wolde Gabriel, so Semetem got Wolde Gabriel. So Hachalu Hundessa, he himself is an Orthodox Christian with the baptismal name of Wolde Gabriel on June 29 in 2020, triggered, and it was a pretext for the violence in East Oromia zones in West Hararge, West Arusi, Batu, Zuwai, Shashemene, Bale, and Jima zones. According to the international and national media, the extent of murder is unheard. The Guardian, I will share the screen. So this is the Guardian's. I will mention the news from the Guardian, the report of the Guardian on its news on August 3, 2020. It says, mob of young Oromo men Kero and women Kare carrying petrol, strikes, machetes, and knives. They killed Christians and targeted Amhara people. They chased you if you don't speak their language. So this is the report from the Guardian, the newspaper, as you all know. Another source I will mention is CARD, that is the Center for Advancement of Rights and Democracy in English and in Amharic it's called የመብቶች እና ዴሞክራሲ እድገት ማዕከል, abbreviated as CARD. According to the reports of CARD, dated in August 5, 2020, the attackers already had the name list of the victims and the attack was pre-planned. Another source I will mention, this is the Defense and Foreign Special Affairs Special Analysis brought a very sad report saying genocide is alive and well in Africa. So that is the bold title it gives, you know, this is very important. And it says that, it states the Oromo war against Ethiopian nationalists and ethnic Amhara people is driven by small extremist groups supported by foreign governments. So this is really sad. So you can see from this report, so I just shared it from the screen. Many men and women were brutally killed due to their ethnic and religious identities. Innocent people were slaughtered and their dead bodies were cut into pieces and thrown away to the beasts. Elderly people were beheaded and a pregnant Christian woman brutally killed. I think this is very, it was really good. Of course, we have just watched the video already before my presentation. So we see very, it was really drastic. It was really drastic, it's very sad. Houses of Orthodox Christians were burned into ashes. Grand hotels and business centers were demolished, and sadly, all belong to the Orthodox Christians. The total number of killed people are over 200, even 280, some says 280 or even more. But the Ethiopian government reported 160 plus people were killed. 10,000s of people are displaced and still they are in the shelters. So you can see that. So this is a picture from one of my sources, and these are the displaced people found at Agarfa in Bale. So this is just one site. It's just one shelter. For our surprise, the police officers and the military personnel gave a blind eye to the murder, to the situation. This is reported by the minority groups, international groups. So I think it is also, I have also the note, but it is really very sad. So all just discussed, that is the problem of the problem of the government officials. According to the reports of Defense and Foreign Affairs Special Analysis, which I mentioned earlier, and many other sources, the attack is not a mere violence or a conflict, but a genocide targeted to cleanse the Orthodox Christians and the Neftenyas. As I said, Neftenya is a generic term to state a non-Oromo Christian, right, from the region of Oromia. The murder was orchestrated by militant Muslims, fundamental Muslims, which is a radical sect of Islam, different from the standard Sunni Islam in Ethiopia. It is worth to mention the benevolent act of a Muslim Haji who rescued Abuna Henok, the Archbishop of West Arusi, on June 29, 2020, at the city of Shashamene. As you all heard, His Grace Abuna Henok, he himself gave press release and he stated the situation. So he was targeted to be killed, but thanks to his neighboring Muslim compatriots,
He himself is a Haji Muslim, a renowned Muslim, but he asked, the killers, no, you are not going to kill this Abuna, this Papas. It is a really great thing. You have no right to do it. So you can kill me first in order to before to kill. So you can imagine that this kind of, very, very generous and very benevolent Muslims are there in Ethiopia. These Muslims are not fundamentals. They are the Sunni standard accepted Muslims in Ethiopian history. This gives a great lesson how Muslims and Christians lived in coexistence for more than 1,000 years. The problem is created by the fundamental Oromo Muslims who are the merciless killers driven by diabolic ideology. They are simply the bad actors. So that was really sad. Now I'm going to proceed to say something about the solution, right? What should we do? As the problem is complicated, hence, different bodies should be involved to get a solution. I summarize the solutions into 4. These are the 4 stakeholders should be, work hand in hand. So the first one should be the Ethiopian government. The Ethiopian government should take the first step. The second one is the Ethiopian Orthodox Church Holy Synod. The third, the Ethiopian people, the Christians. And the last one, the international community. So these 4 groups. The first one, the Ethiopian government. The first and the foremost duty of the government is to keep the life of its citizens safe and to maintain peace and security in the country. As the Oromia region state spokesperson confirmed in his recent report on the media in last month, right? Orthodox Christians were killed due to their religious identity. So they cannot deny. So the spokesperson of the Oromia region plainly gave this press release, in the government media just last month, and the bishop, of course, the Henok also mentioned that. So it was targeted to attack the Orthodox Christians. So this is the same report is said by the Oromia state spokesperson. So he also believed that. In fact, in later reports, they would like to hide these kind of things, but it is just already said. A report of peacemakers organized from delegates of the Holy Synod, representatives of civic societies, accompanied by different journalists, confirms that such a tragic destruction would have been minimized if police officials exert their maximum effort. However, they failed to do so and gave a lame excuse saying, "Altazaznim, we were not being given order from the concerned government authority." So everyone saw that. That's really, really great. It's sad. It's sad. The ruling party named Prosperity Party or Biltsegna Party admitted the blind eye given act of the government administration official and started taking actions. After the tragic massacre and demolition act of June 29, survivors are still being terrorized by those radicals, otherwise leave their village. So the prior responsible body to perpetuate the violence in Oromia zone is the federal government and the Oromia regional state. So this must be from the government side. From the second and the very important responsible and stakeholder must be the Holy Synod, the Ethiopian Orthodox Church Holy Synod. The Holy Synod of the Ethiopian Church should take the problem seriously and ask the government for a solution. The Ethiopian government should pay compensations for the intended murder and destruction targeted to the Orthodox Christians. giving the necessary guidance for church authorities to discharge their pastoral responsibilities effectively to tend all Christians. A serious follow-up is mandatory for every diocese located in the country and in the diaspora, and mobilizing the laity for practical help that may be in kind or in money, to restitute the victims and the displaced ones. So this is important, and the Holy Synod should act on this. The third point, the Ethiopian people, especially focusing the youth, that's I think the subject of our training today, is to give awareness for our fellow Christians and the youth Christians and the university students and campus students, right? So here, living here in the United States, on the Europe, or in Ethiopia, wherever. Every Christian should learn Christianity with its old doctrines. That must be the first thing. Unless we have proper lesson and understanding what Christianity means, so we don't know what is what. Orthodox Christians should be aware of the current problem and should teach their children. So the families, the Christian families, should teach their children to what? But not to be panic, but to act wisely. To be actively involved in Ethiopian politics. As clearly seen, Orthodox Christians are not in the forefront of the current political arenas of the country. Demanding justice for the massacred Orthodox Christians and follow all lives matters. Youth Christians, both in the country and in the diaspora, should be aware of the current situation of Ethiopia and to use all the platforms to address the problem. To lead your own golden, see, the youth, Christian youth, you should read your own golden history and to follow your forefathers, to worship God with full heart and to serve your people. So do not be selfish. Do not give blind eyes for the current situation. Do not think you are living here in the safe place, but our compatriots, our fathers, mothers, brothers, and our compatriots are just suffering there in Ethiopia. So we should shout. We should use our all means to protect and to give and to be part of this situation as well, at least. To believe with the power of the prayer and to surrender ourselves, to submit ourselves for God. Of course, we must be persons of faith, so we should believe God and we should pray, but we should act accordingly as well. We believe all will be possible for God, so that is the important thing. The fourth and the last one, the fourth stakeholders according to this situation is the international community. The current situation in Ethiopia is alarming. Killing, displacement, destruction are reported daily. Innocent people are massacred due to their religious and ethnic identities. 10,000s of people are displaced from their home, and serious human rights abductions are common in Ethiopia. And yet the Ethiopian federal government and the Oromia regional state have no interest to give ultimate solutions. They are hiding the reality for their political agenda. Therefore, the international community should give ears, and the issue needs to be adequately settled. So this is a very serious matter, and every one of us should be part of this solution to become one in one way or another. We can be one of the stakeholders. So this is all my presentation. And my presentation was, I just tried to use all these sources. I would like to thank every one of you for your time and patience. Thank you. God bless you all.
Thank you, Kesis Dr. Amsalu. May you hear the word of life. After explaining the 4 very important root causes of the problem, we learned about what the solutions could be. Who can be the solution? Even if we're not part of the Ethiopian government or the Holy Synod or in the international community, we all have a big role in saving our country. We need to understand our history, our faith, and why Christians are suffering. We should never underestimate the power of prayer. We should all submit our lives to God. Thank you very much for watching.